Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Before we start talking about boxing.
When I'm older, I would like to be a paramedic.
There we go. Let's let this, let me let this play out. We can get going here. Skip that. All right, pause. Let me move this over here so I can monitor the chat. See when people start coming on. And let me get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about. I'm telling you right now, man. It is crazy. So I'm going to do this the way that I've been doing it. And I'm just going to start talking. And then we'll go from there, man. Anyway, so we take a look at what's going on right now. Teofimo Lopez, the 140-pound division. He's got a big fight coming up with Josh Taylor. A lot of concern about Teofimo Lopez and where he's at mentally. It's kind of unfortunate because when you see somebody struggling with those mental health challenges, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you what, and I'm telling you from personal experience, it shows up in every aspect of your life. So I don't think I'm going to take an opportunity to kick him while he's down. But what I will tell you is you don't help your situation when you're sitting here and you're saying things that some people would find, unacceptable. In particular, what he said about, Top Rank and they can have the black fighters coming out saying that, his sole purpose of fighting Josh Taylor is to kill Josh Taylor, saying it's a kill or be killed sport. And we know we've had other people say things. Tyson Fury said some crazy stuff. Mike Tyson said crazy stuff. Deontay Wilder said crazy stuff. You've had guys talk things about never going to lose to a white boy. You've had recently Clarissa Shields saying, that she could wear the Mexican colors and beat down Conejo in her colors. And then you could tell she cleared up what she was saying because she said that there's no Mexican can beat her, no American, white, black, Chinese, nothing. But what Clarissa did is she caught herself when she was saying those things. But that being said, when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, let me tell y'all something. And any male or female, but in particular for the guys out there, we know, depending on your age, you should know what it's like to have ups and downs, man, with the female, with the woman in your life. That is not easy. Let me tell you. And when Teofimo Lopez comes out here and he talks about he believes the issues he's facing outside the ropes are far greater than those inside the ropes, that's because this man is letting y'all know he's struggling. He needs some support. And I think somebody needs to give it to him, because the fact that he's talking about killing people and he's going to die with dignity inside the ring, you got to get beyond the surface to really understand what Teofimo's talking about. When you start talking about wanting to kill somebody, that's going to stop anyone and say, whoa, what's going on with he or she? And I'm telling you right now, for Teofimo Lopez to talk about him dying or killing Taylor or running up the road and biting somebody, is because there's something going on. And for him, it's the fact that he and his wife have gone separate ways. And the fact that, she has his daughter. He said he hasn't been able to see his daughter. And that, let me tell you, man, I have 4 sons, and I couldn't imagine, not being able to see my kids. I couldn't imagine my wife and I splitting up and her taking half. Don't get me wrong, I'm no multimillionaire, but like a lot of you, I'm all right. Teofimo Lopez is a multimillionaire. This woman taking half of his money. That right there, financial issues, let me tell you, that's one of the biggest causes of suicide for a lot of people. It's just people who just feel like they can't get from underneath that financial burden in their life, whether it's debt, whether it's bad business decisions, whether someone stole money from them. When it comes to financial struggles, that is one of the leading causes of suicide. And then when you couple what he has going on, being in the midst of a divorce with his wife, let me tell you, that is horrible. And to see him going through, let me tell you what, for him to come out, man, and admit in interviews that he's had to battle through some personal, trials with his wife in his personal life, that speaks volumes that this man wants help. You can look in his eyes and see that he wants help. You know what I mean? You can see it in his eyes. He just looks like a guy who is deflated and defeated. And that's nothing we should celebrate. Especially because, let's frame this the right way. Teofimo Lopez, with those struggles, right? Financial struggles, him and his wife not on the same page, going through divorce, not seeing his daughter. Now he goes in to fight Josh Taylor, which I'm telling you, in my opinion, I think Josh Taylor is going to tranquilize him. And I'm not wishing bad on Teofimo. I just think when you look at it, he doesn't bring enough to the table, in my opinion. And he definitely hasn't proven at 140 that he's a threat. He doesn't bring enough to the table from what I've seen at 140 to give Josh Taylor any problems. Now they're going to be battling on June 10th and they're headlining at the, I think it's the Hulu Theater in Madison Square Garden. But imagine if Teofimo Lopez loses this fight with Josh Taylor. Now he's got the thing, not seeing his daughter, going through a divorce, losing half of his money, half of his assets. He has a loss now. Then he has the fact that everybody already laughs at him. Nobody's letting him get beyond the Kambosos loss, right? And he's going to have to deal with that. And he's a sensitive person, man. He's a very sensitive person. Now, I'm not coming here to defend him, but what I will say is they did make some good points about what happened going into that Kambosos defeat. Now, for those of you who are unaware, let me catch you up. For Teofimo Lopez, Triller won that purse bid for Teofimo to fight Kambosos. But what happened is the fight got rescheduled like 3, 4, 5 times. As a result, remember, Teofimo Lopez got down to 135 pounds, which is a weight that was damn near impossible for him to achieve. So he got down to that 135 pounds, not just for a moment in time, right? Because normally these guys cut down for that moment in time, a few split seconds, and then they rehydrate. But then he had to sit there and keep his weight at a level to where he shouldn't have had to. And he had to do that for several months because the fight kept getting rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled. And now when you think about that, that's unfair to him. And that took its toll on his overall health. So I'm not coming to his defense, but what I'm giving you are facts. And when you take that into consideration, I just think if we're being fair about it, you can understand how he maybe wasn't 100% going into the Kambosos fight. But you take the fact that he wasn't 100% physically, coupled with the fact that he went in there full of emotion, thinking he was going to be able to just knock Kambosos out. In addition to that, you're taking the fact that his dad didn't really have any structured guidance for him. That was a recipe for disaster. So he goes in there, he gets humiliated, and it is what it is. Comes out the ring, now got the divorce with his wife, Cynthia. And let me tell you, for her to come out and speak publicly and say negative things about him, that's very unfortunate because they have a child together, and sometimes people, when they're full of emotion, they don't really think things through. But I thought that Teofimo Lopez and his wife were doing good because we saw that they were together just in December where he fought Sandor Martin. So to me, it looked like the personal issues, they were working through it. And I was hoping that he would, but right now it looks like they haven't. She's still pushing for the divorce, but maybe she's trying to support him because he's struggling more than her. But for Teofimo Lopez, he says, look, man, to give you guys a little bit of insight. She's taking my money, man. She's got my kid. Let me tell you, some people live for money. Some people live for their children. Teofimo Lopez is his child first. He works hard. He sacrifices and the money. So he feels like, I'm living and I'm learning, but he's struggling. That's what's going on with him. But anyway, we're going to see what happens with him because when he fought Martin in December, let me tell y'all something. That win hurt him because most people feel he lost that fight. And at the end of the fight, he was questioning himself, saying, man, do I still have it? And what's really interesting is that whole exchange with him and his team, that was captured by ESPN. They caught that conversation where he was asking him, do I still got it? But nonetheless, the fact that he hasn't seen his son, that's crazy. The The fact that the spouses come out, man, and said things about him to the world, not letting him see his kid, that takes a toll on anybody. And when I think about that, I can set my opinion on him as a boxer aside, but as man to man, it's very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate to see what he's going through, because it's disappointing. But at the end of the day, this is going to help him grow. Some of this stuff comes with the territory, man. You know, life isn't easy. And men and women sometimes when you get married, you're a boxer, right? You got a very demanding schedule. But sometimes when you get married, it just doesn't work. It's like a bad sneaker, you know, a sneaker that doesn't fit properly. Or you develop shin splints after a while wearing that shoe. You know, you got to take it off and get another sneaker on. And that's what he has to do, is take off that shoe and get another shoe, man. And she may need to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, for he and she, no matter what shoe they get, they may want to keep the same lace because they got that child together. So they need to figure out what they're going to do going forward. At least keep the laces, man, which represent the child, and put those laces back into their shoes and move forward, man. But we're going to see if he can make the impossible possible, because I think with everything he has, he's just at a disadvantage in all areas when it comes to facing Josh Taylor. But we're going to see if he gets it done. Maybe everybody will jump on the Teofimo bandwagon. Maybe they will, because for him to be able to struggling in his personal life and to bring his professional life full circle, well, that's going to speak volume for Teofimo Lopez. It is. 25 years old, you know, out of the ring troubles, in the ring troubles. Everything seems problematic, even with his promoter Top Rank. Not sure if he's going to continue with them. Who's going to want him? No promoter's going to really take too much of an interest in him. He doesn't have any belts. He's coming off of losses. He's got all kind of personal and professional issues. Why would they want to sit there and take on that headache? I just don't see it happening. So for Teofimo Lopez, we'll see what direction he's going to go. But now we're talking about Regis Prograis. Hey, I'm going to tell everybody right now, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Now, when I come out here and see that Devin Haney is calling out Regis Prograis, I'm applauding Devin Haney, because the more I digest Devin Haney and Regis Prograis, and the fact that Devin is pursuing him, the more I applaud Devin. He is really looking to prove that he's the real deal. Now, can he beat Regis Prograis? To that, I got to say, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Devin Haney beating Regis Prograis? I don't see it. However, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people feel Devin Haney can beat Regis Prograis. Now, what they're seeing in Devin Haney, I don't know. But I'll tell you this, I see greatness in Devin Haney, but I'm not sure it's enough to beat a guy like Regis Prograis. But then again, styles make fights. And Devin Haney has continued to elevate himself. So we got to be real about Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. We know Regis Prograis is a killer at 140. We know he put Josh Taylor through hell, and Josh Taylor put him through hell. But some people keep saying Devin Haney is ducking Tank Davis. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't see how Devin Haney is ducking Tank Davis to go up and fight Regis Prograis. Now, I said this yesterday when I did a real short live. If Devin Haney was going out here and chasing after Pedraza, well then, yeah, maybe he's putting some duck sauce on the fried rice. But I don't believe Devin Haney is putting any duck sauce on the fried rice by really going after Regis Prograis. But I'll ask you this, right? Who's the harder fight for Devin Haney? Tank Davis or Regis Prograis? Right? And just be real with yourself. Who's the harder fight? Now, that's not an easy answer. For me, I want to say Regis Prograis. But at the same time, when you look at Tank Davis and what Tank Davis brings to the table, it's kind of hard to say, just even talking about a 5-pound difference, right? To say that Regis Prograis is a harder fight than Tank. You almost want to say Tank is a harder fight, whether at 135 or 140. But the way this is structured is Tank is staying at 135. So for Devin to come back to stay at 135 and fight Tank, when you look at the weight and what Devin has to put himself through, that would make it a harder fight fighting Tank Davis. Because Tank Davis is not going to fight him at 140. Not right now. Tank Davis is staying at 135. Devin Haney going up to 140 gives him a little bit of a sense of reprieve. He gets to breathe a bit. He doesn't have to kill himself to get down to 140. So maybe he's stronger. Maybe he's faster. Maybe his punch resistance is better. Okay? These are real issues that can be resolved if he doesn't have to kill himself that additional 5 pounds. Now, at the same time still, if he's able to beat Regis Prograis, since they're both on Matchroom, and it's an easy fight to make, if he beats Regis Prograis, then that's a legacy fight. Devin Haney becomes a two-weight world champion, and now Devin Haney picks up that WBC belt, and then he can go and look to unify. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if Devin Haney goes to 140, I think he could always come down to 135, but I'm not that optimistic. I thought about it last night. I'm not very optimistic Devin Haney's going to cut back down to 135 after being at 140, especially if he has success against probably, man, the biggest boogeyman at 140 pounds, Regis Prograis. I'm just going to be honest with you. Why go to 140, clip Regis Prograis, pick up a WBC title, just to come back down to defend your titles at 135? I see him making a move to try to unify, maybe fight Rolly Romero. Like, that's really the move I see him making. If Teofimo happens to get through Josh Taylor, maybe he fights Josh Taylor. Even if he doesn't win, maybe he fights Josh Taylor if Josh Taylor beats Teofimo. But what I'm saying, Devin Haney may go up to 140, and if he has success, he may look to unify. And depending on who has the titles, especially if it's Rolly Romero still floating around out there with a title, that could be a winnable fight for Devin Haney. So now he's a unified champion at 140, undisputed at 135. And hey, it may do him like they did Adrian Broner. Find the right person at 147, especially if Spence and Crawford move up to 147, 154, and they relinquish those titles after they fight twice. Now Devin Haney goes up and becomes a 3-weight world champion. So with him, they're looking long term, and they're being strategic. And that's what's going on with Devin Haney. No matter what people like it or not, his life doesn't evolve around Tank Davis. Devin Haney's life doesn't evolve around Shakur Stevenson. It just doesn't. Now, for us as boxing fans, does that suck a little bit? Admittedly, it does suck a little bit because we want to see those fights now. To me, while Devin Haney is in his zone and there's a high demand to see him again, it doesn't matter if you thought he lost to Lomachenko, there's a high demand to see Devin Haney again, then to me he should, in my opinion, he should roll into a fight with a Tank or Shakur. That's what people want to see. He already beat Lomachenko. Go out there, man, and fight Shakur Stevenson. Fight Tank. And let me tell you, if he can beat Tank and just Tank alone, or just Shakur Stevenson alone, all the issues and all the complaints people have about Lomachenko, that goes out the window. Immediately goes out the window. But we're not going to know if he can get that done or not unless he does it. But right now, it seems to be full steam ahead, going to 140 and chasing legacy. Okay? Now, Tank Davis. Who knows what's going to go on with Gervonta Tank Davis? No one knows right now. No, we know he's on house arrest. He's not allowed to go in the gym. I'm sure they're training inside the house. Gervonta Davis has an uphill battle. And this is just a fact that I'm giving y'all about Gervonta Davis. Basically, what Gervonta Davis received was like a suspended jail sentence. And what that means is they've set a trap for Gervonta Davis, right? They've set a trap for Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis cannot mess up. Do you guys understand? If Gervonta Davis makes any mistakes, he's going to the joint. Now, is he mature enough? Is he professional enough to keep himself out of hot water? Does he have the right temperament now after having the, like I like to say, when the real deal starts? Because by him going to court and all that happening, well, the real deal started for him. And now he's had this basically like a suspended jail sentence that at any time they could put his ass in jail if he makes any mistakes. Now that the real deal started, does he have the right temperament? And can he set his pride aside if somebody says something that he doesn't like? Because he can't be out here fighting. He can't be out here being around the wrong crowd, getting into the wrong things. He definitely can't be around any drinking and smoking. Anything that can be perceived as this is how I chose to live when I was working, right? With what I was doing in the military. I chose to just be professional at all times. Be professional at all times. If you find yourself cussing, you got to ask yourself, is that being professional? No. If somebody walks by me and bumps me, whether it's an accident or not, should I just turn around and just haul off and punch them, or do I sit there, man, take a deep breath and tell myself, you know what, if I take on every asshole I meet, I'll be a busy person. So I just take a deep breath and go on, because I got something bigger and greater going on in my life. But the bottom line is, Tank needs to understand the importance of being professional, how you talk to people, from drinking, smoking, gambling, and just being around friends who seem to like to be in the mix of nonsense. He don't need to be around it. And he needs to understand that. And if he can be professional, especially because being professional means basically it's like you're walking around on eggshells, unless you're just somebody who's had that ingrained in you. And I'm going to tell you, with me, I struggled with that even up until I retired, because, I am what I am. But it did help me. It did help me a lot. But it's not easy to remain professional 24/7, because we're human. We're not robots. But with Tank Davis' situation, he's got to be a robot. Like, that's a fact. Tank Davis has to be a robot. Because at the end of this year, Tank Davis should be returning to fight. And what's interesting about it is he's calling out Devin Haney right now. Now, if you ask me, why is he calling out Devin Haney? What happened to Isaac Pitbull Cruz? Well, I think there's a little bit of wanting to keep your name out there, but also a whole lot of wanting that 4-for-1 special. And what I mean by a 4-for-1 special, if you're a boxer and you're at 135 right now, or you're at 154 pounds, why would you not fight Devin Haney, the 4-for-1 special, right? Fight one fighter, get 4 belts. Why would you not fight him and fight Pitbull Cruz, who brings nothing to the table, who you beat already? I mean, look, this isn't Floyd Mayweather, Jose Luis Castillo, all right? This isn't what we're talking about. And there's no guarantee if Tank fights Pitbull Cruz, he's going to do Pitbull Cruz the way Sergio Martinez did Paul Williams in their second fight, all right? So let's just make sure we understand what's going on here with Tank Davis and choosing to fight a guy like Pitbull Cruz. Just go ahead and try to get the fight with Devin Haney, become undisputed. But then again, you look at Tank. He's all about money too. Who's going to give him the most money? So I don't know what they're doing, what their plan is, but I feel that Tank Davis and his team are of the opinion that Tank is a pay-per-view draw. Now, if they're being honest with themselves and with Tank, they're going to sit back and say, hey, look, Tank, you're a bad boy. You are a pay-per-view draw. You're just not a 1 million pay-per-view draw type person. Like, that's just not who he is. Ryan Garcia, I don't care what no one says, Ryan Garcia had a lot to do with that. But for Tank Davis and Pitbull Cruz to fight, I mean, that's when we're going to see just where Tank really is as far as pay-per-view sales. And I think he's going to continue. His numbers are going to crest right between the 175,000 and 300,000 pay-per-view buy mark. And anything above that, I just don't think he hits it. It's my opinion. I'm not wishing bad on him. I just think he definitely needs the right dance partner. And with a guy like Ryan Garcia, who seems to be kind of all over the place right now, De La Hoya trying to have him fight Pacquiao, Ryan Garcia saying, no, it's not Pacquiao, I'm going to fight Rolly Romero. And that's all up in the air. Rolly Romero being mandated to fight O'Hara Davis. Then, O'Hara Davis seems to want to fight, but then he's unsure. No one really knows if Rolly can beat anybody at 140 pounds, because he seems to be more of a tickler instead of the hard puncher, vicious knockout artist he once was, because he got clipped by Tank Davis. So instead of making a tweak to his style, Rolly Romero has overhauled his style. So now he's out here, in my opinion, whether he was a lion, who was a carnivore, they turned the lion into a pussycat. As a matter of fact, he went from carnivore to goddamn herbivore. He's not even an omnivore. And I don't like to see that, just like with Deontay Wilder. Let a lion be a lion. Roam the jungle. You know what I'm saying? Take out the prey. Kill them, eat them, devour them. Don't have them now going around here looking for heads of lettuce to eat. And I think that's what they've done with Rolly Romero. And I think if Rolly Romero gets in there with O'Hara Davis, or Rolly Romero gets in there with anyone who's going to press him, I think Rolly Romero loses, because I got to question his chin, man. He does seem to be a guy, one, that doesn't really do good with anyone who's throwing the straight left at him. And two, that chin doesn't seem to be the best. But at the same time, Rolly Romero has the power to equalize. He has the equalizer. He has the power to tranquilize you. Will he be able to do it to someone? I don't know. But I'm just throwing that out there. Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia, who knows what direction the fight's going. One thing I do know is De La Hoya is over there, and I think he's just looking to cash out Ryan Garcia. And I think Ryan Garcia should get away from Oscar De La Hoya sooner than later. Now, when it comes to Crawford and Spence, so many people are talking about it, but they're either talking more in favor of Crawford or talking more in favor of Spence. And I'm not for either one of those guys. I'm for boxing. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm a little surprised, and like my friend Mills, he came and he mentioned it too. A little surprised at how Earl Spence isn't really talking a lot about, he's not really promoting the fight the way, I was thinking that he would. For some reason, it seems like Spence has kind of gone more of a quiet route. You know what I mean? Where Crawford is out here being more vocal. Definitely, I would say he's trying to sell the fight a little bit more than Spence. But I'll tell you one thing with Spence is locked in training. And, there's never a whole lot of footage on the training camps with Earl Spence. Sometimes there's a little bit of footage on Terrence Crawford, but for the most part, once they get in training camp, they lock in. And I think Earl Spence is 100% locked in already. It's like he said during that interview that he did the other day. I think it was Stephen A. Smith, right? He said, hey, when I get in the ring, I'm stepping. And I think that's what Earl Spence is doing. He's getting himself ready right now to when he steps in that ring with Terrence Crawford, he's going to step to him. And Crawford's doing the same thing, but you can see Crawford's happy. When Crawford smiles, you see all 32 of his teeth. I never seen Terrence Crawford smile so much. All them teeth, all them white teeth, big gap in between his teeth. Terrence Crawford's so goddamn happy right now, man. He doesn't know what to do with himself. This man about to make, now this is what I think. We know he's making 8 figures guaranteed. I think he's getting 20 to 25 million. But the reason I say that is because that's what he could have gotten when he first went to negotiations with Earl Spence. You can't make me believe a guy like Crawford, who's about his money and knows that there's $25 million on the table for him and $25 million on the table for Spence, that he's just going to walk away from that and allow somebody to convince him to take a $10 million guarantee or a $12, $13 million guarantee. Now, I will say this too. Because they know they're doing projections and they look at what Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia did, and when you start playing with the numbers, some people are saying they think Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence are going to do more than Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Let me tell y'all something. I'm not sure how much Spence and Crawford does, but I'm just not sure it does 2 million in pay-per-view buys. I'm not sure it does that. But nonetheless, they should do good numbers, and they're both going to make a whole lot of money, right? But the proof is in the pudding, man. When you talk about these guys and what they bring to the table in their body of work, Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford. Anyone still questioning these guys and their capabilities and what they're able to do, especially at 147 pounds, and saying that maybe outside of Crawford, there's someone else who can beat Spence. Outside of Spence, there's someone who can beat Crawford. Look, if Keith Thurman was active, I'd say, you know what, Keith Thurman. And I still think Keith Thurman is a threat. He's just not active enough. But outside of Keith Thurman, I don't see anybody at 147 that could really give Spence or Crawford an issue aside from themselves, each other and themselves. I'll be honest with you. and even Boots Ennis. I'm going to tell you right now, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Stop talking about Boots Ennis, right? I don't even want to hear Boots Ennis' name no more. He's got a lot of work to do, right? He's got a lot of work to do. I don't want to hear nothing about him. He needs to get back in the ring. He's out here trying to jump right into a fight with Spence. He wants to fight Crawford. He wants to fight everybody. And I think if he gets a fight with Spence after Spence and Crawford fight, or fight with Crawford after he fights Spence, I think they both tranquilize Boots. I do. I'm not after watching Boots and what he went through in his last fight. I'm not saying Boots can't beat everybody else, but I just don't think he stands a chance against Spence or Terrence Crawford. And I'm just being honest with you, man. But nonetheless, man, Spence and Crawford are going to get busy at the T-Mobile Arena. And let me tell you something. Fists are going to fly. I don't care what anyone says. Crawford, I just can't see Crawford starting off slow. I don't see it, because if he does, Crawford will get behind. Now, as far as Crawford being able to come back mid to late rounds and turn the tide of the fight and then win the championship rounds, not against Earl Spence. Earl Spence, as he gets stronger as each round passes, and then he just continues to break his opponents down mentally, physically, spiritually. And I don't care what anyone says when it comes to Crawford and Spence. If he starts off slow, he could find himself in a world of trouble, because how are you going to sit there and outwork someone who throws over 100 punches around every single round and get stronger in the mid to late rounds? Crawford doesn't necessarily get stronger as the fight goes on. He can get a little bit tired. Now, he's not, falling all around the ring tired, but you could tell he slows a little bit, but he's still a threat even in the late rounds. I just think going against a guy like Spence, we could see Crawford, man, getting kind of bounced around that ring if he doesn't let his hands go. Demo Gaming, what's going on? Do I have a pick in that fight? You pick Spence? I'm going to tell you, it's a 50-50 fight to me. Crawford and Spence is a 50-50 fight, but I think Crawford fights with his eyes. Spence is more physical. And if anything happens early in the fight, I give it to Crawford to shock Earl Spence and maybe stop him. But after round 4 or 5, I say round 5, I think it's Spence all the way. But I can't see Spence knocking Crawford out in the first 4 rounds. But I could see Crawford timing Spence and catching Spence with something and hurting Spence early in the fight. Because Crawford's strong. Spence is strong too. But Crawford is strong. To me, Crawford is more accurate. Crawford exploits your vulnerabilities and your openings. And I think Crawford may be the harder puncher. But the problem is Spence has good defense. So even when he throws that long jab, which I think that long jab could be a problem for Earl Spence. You can't just leave your jab out there like that, because Spence doesn't throw one jab, and sometimes he throws up top, he throws down low, he'll come back with the left, and once he closes the distance, he'll bang to the body. But the problem is he can get countered, and Crawford is smart, so he's going to be collecting data, downloading data, and Crawford is going to react. It's just how he reacts and if Spence can handle it. Because Spence keeps his hands up, man. He comes in, got that tight, earmuff type defense, and he takes a little short steps forward, short steps back. He's bending at the waist, left and right. That's boxing 101. And he's fundamentally sound. It's like I said yesterday. You got Tim Duncan versus Shaquille O'Neal. You would think Shaquille O'Neal would just come in there and destroy Tim Duncan with all the athleticism and power. But let me tell you something right now. Tim Duncan would kill him with fundamentals. And Earl Spence has fundamentals, and those fundamentals could prove to be a huge problem for Terrence Crawford. Larry Lopez says, biggest fight in boxing, hopefully it's a trilogy. Well, we know they're locked in for 2 already, Larry. So I think it could be a trilogy. But I'll tell you what I think is really interesting about Spence and Crawford, right? I said it yesterday, and nobody has commented on that video about what I'm saying except for my boy Mills. Let's say Spence and Crawford, right? Let's say it's a close fight, okay? And somehow we end up in the 12th round, and it's a very close fight, kind of like, what's his name, Lomachenko and Devin Haney. Pretty close fight. Anyway, my question is, who should get the decision? Because, in boxing they say the challenger has to take the belts from the champion, right? That's what they say in boxing. So if the challenger has to take the belts from a champion, and you have a super close fight with Spence and Crawford, and you're in the 12th round and there's a decision, who do you see as the champion? Who do you see as the challenger? Because to me, you got two champions. They're both undefeated. One is a 3-division champion, former undisputed at 140. The other guy is unified, 3 titles at 147 pounds. So who deserves to get the benefit of the doubt in a super close fight? That's going to be a problem. All right? And that's what I think is going to be the limiting factor with Spence and Crawford. Although I think if someone loses, I think they'll lose by knockout. But I do feel that both of these guys have been fighting for so long, they're so good at what they do, that they know how not to get knocked out. Demo Gaming says Spence sounded like he was serious about coming in there to hurt Crawford. If you watch that old video when they were face to face. Oh yeah, Spence is stepping. That's how he says. When Spence gets in the ring, he comes in the ring to destroy you. Spence isn't coming into the ring to tickle you at all. Spence is coming in to destroy you. Larry Lopez says Spence is the champ with 3 belts on the line. Hey, that's what I was thinking too, man. Spence has 3 belts. If it's a close fight, and one of them are going to be viewed as a champ, one as a challenger, you could find Terrence Crawford being in one of those positions to where now he loses. Plus, it's a PBC fight. Crawford is now signed as a 2-fight deal with PBC, but Spence is the PBC guy. They're just going to come now and give that to Crawford and let Crawford go on about his business. Although there's a rematch, I mean, I don't know. But I could see the first fight ending up being a draw, kind of like Canelo Triple G. Triple G got robbed, but I could see it being a draw, and then that prompting a second fight, and then maybe a third fight. But it's going to be very interesting. But I tell you what, just to throw a wrench in all this, then you got Keith Thurman, who's back in the mix. Keith Thurman just did an interview. Keith Thurman is going to be fighting shortly thereafter Spence and Crawford. So Thurman's going to probably fight in August. Now, what's interesting about Keith Thurman, and that's why I'm glad he did his interview, man. Keith Thurman has 4 potential opponents, right? He has 4 potential opponents. But when you look at Keith Thurman and his 4 potential opponents, let's just take a look at what we got here. He says he has to make sure his opponents aren't fighting, right? Now, this is the current rack and stack as far as how the ring has him rated at 147 pounds. So let's just, by a process of elimination, let's try to figure out hey, Larry, that's what we're going to try to figure out right now, because Keith Thurman says there's 4 names. And he says, Keith Thurman said he's not looking to be a gatekeeper. He wants to fight champions. He wants to fight the elite. So we know Spence and Crawford, they're not available for Keith Thurman, right? Boots Ennis may be available, okay? That's exactly what I'm getting at, Lopez. Boots may be available. Yuga's is supposed to be fighting Mario Barrios. He may not be available. So right now we got Ennis, Ortiz, and Stanionis. They're fighting. They're not going to be available. Butiev, nothing going on with Butiev. He's available. So right now I got Ennis and Butiev. Crowley, he's in a holding pattern. He could be available, although he just won an opportunity to be the mandatory to the WBC. So Crowley and Keith Thurman could be the fight, since Thurman is a mandatory as well. So I think it's Crowley and going to be fighting Keith Thurman. But Boots Ennis is an option. So right now you got Boots Ennis, Butiev, Crowley. I don't think it's Vanessian, and Roach is going the WBO route, so Roach is not even in the mix. But when you come down, you look here at the WBC ranking, you got Crowley, Conor Benn, Mean Machine, and then Roman Villa, and Rashidi Ellis. So, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Thurman I think it's Cody Crowley. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. But Boots Ennis, I think Cody Crowley, Rashidi Ellis, Boots Ennis, or let me see who else they got here. Keith Thurman, Cody Crowley. So Cody Crowley, Boots Ennis, Rashidi Ellis. And they got Conor Benn and Kavaliauskas, but I don't think he's going to be Conor Benn. Could be Mean Machine. But we'll see. We'll see. But those are the four names that I think, man. And I'm just being honest with you, man. So I'm gonna type it in here. You got Boots, you got Ellis, you got Crowley, and then you got who else was that other name, man? Roman Villa. I don't know, man. Maybe it is him. I don't know. But it could be Roman Villa. We just don't know. I don't know. But I think Cody Crowley is the guy to get the fight, in my opinion. But anyway, Keith Thurman, he just had another daughter as well. But he's looking to fight, man, 2 to 3 times a year. Now, is Keith Thurman going to get the opportunity to fight 2 to 3 times a year? I don't know. But he likes family life. And Keith Thurman realized that he only has a few years left. But he was the one who was holding out to try to get that Spence fight. And Keith Thurman still wants a title. But let's just be real about it, man. Let's really be real. Keith Thurman picking up another title. Only way Keith Thurman will get an opportunity to pick up a title is once Spence and Crawford go through their 2-3 fights, right? The only way Thurman will get a shot is if they vacate the belts and the two of them decide to move up. Then the belts become free and Thurman will definitely fight for a belt and Thurman should pick a belt up. But I don't think Thurman is gonna get a chance at the 4-for-1 deal. And when we talk about the 4-for-1 deal, I'm talking about, getting to fight a guy like Spence or Crawford and the opportunity for 4 belts. I just think the 4-for-1 deal is something that's just not going to last very long. And these guys need to understand that. But we'll see what Thurman decides to do. I mean, look, he's got 30 wins, 1 loss. The loss was to Pacquiao. Thurman was doing very good in that fight. But, he got a little bit reckless. And he ended up getting touched. You know what I'm saying? Can he still come back at the age of 34? He stands 5'7", 5'8". Can he come back? His reach is shorter than Devin Haney's. That's what's interesting about Keith Thurman. His reach is shorter than Devin Haney's. So Devin Haney may bubble up and outbox Keith Thurman right now. But at the same time, he's still got a pretty decent KO percentage, man. 73%. 22 of his wins are by KO. And he's a threat. He's definitely a threat to anybody at 147 pounds. But we'll see what happens. We'll see who he fights. Lopez says Thurman's still a great name to have on the resume. I agree with you 100%, man. And I was saying this before. When Spence and Crawford were first trying to make the fight, I was saying it would have made sense to me for Crawford to fight Thurman and beat him. So then Crawford he would have had Porter and Thurman on his resume. No one has Thurman on their resume except Pacquiao. And I said it would have been good for Spence to have fought Thurman and beat him, because then he would have had Danny Garcia, Porter, and Thurman on his resume. And then Crawford wouldn't have had a leg to stand on. But what you see happening here is none of that mattered, because nobody fought Keith Thurman. And then Crawford obviously has some connection over there, I think, in the Saudi Arabia, in my opinion, for some big money. And I think I really do think the fact that Crawford has those connections, I think there was some conversation that took place after November to where I think some of that money is what helped to make this fight. I don't know that, but I do think so. And nobody can make me think otherwise unless they can prove it. But you can't make me believe anyone's going to be okay with walking away from that kind of money. Demo Gaming said, I'd like to see Thurman in boots at some point. Yeah, of course. That would be a great fight, man. Thurman in boots. That would be that could be a tough fight. Because we're talking about Keith Thurman, his reach being at like 69. That's not, his reach isn't that long. And he's standing at 5'7" or so. But when you take a look at Boots Ennis, this is where it gets interesting, right? So we just took a look at Keith Thurman. But this is Boots Ennis right here, okay? When you look at Boots Ennis, and you come right and you start looking at his stats, he's 25. He has a 5-inch reach advantage over Keith Thurman, and a 3-inch height advantage over Keith Thurman. You understand? That's a pretty big damn deal. 90% KO ratio. Now you got to look at the opponents he fought, but that's a pretty big deal. So that could be a hard fight for Keith Thurman, unless he can catch Boots Ennis. But Boots Ennis, they have him here at 5'10". My understanding, people saying Boots Ennis is 6 feet tall. So I take these stats with a grain of salt. But word around town is Boots Ennis is standing at about 6 feet tall, fighting at 147 pounds, where they're saying he shouldn't be anywhere near 147 pounds, but he, like Devin Haney, can get his weight down for that moment in time, just like Earl Spence, to make 147. But I still think for Keith Thurman, that would be a good fight against Boots, but it may be a bit tougher. I mean, look, he's not, Boots Ennis and Soto Caras may be about the same height, but a prime Soto Caras versus a prime Jerron Boots Ennis, I think Soto Caras would beat Boots Ennis. And Keith Thurman had Soto Caras gave Keith Thurman all he could handle. That was a very good fight, but Keith Thurman came back and was able to get Caras out of there. So that being said, as far as Keith Thurman, I don't think he's quite a gatekeeper yet. But I agree with you 100%, Lopez. Thurman saying he's not a gatekeeper speaks to Boots. Yeah, I remember when he said that. So Thurman may not even fight Boots Ennis. He may feel like, nah, I'm not going to sit here and fight this guy. Thurman just wants champions, or he wants to be put in those fights. He said he's a headliner, he's a main event type fighter, and he said two things. One, he doesn't want to sit there and fight to be the supporting cast of the main event. And then he said, two, is there's the money just isn't there to put on an event to have someone like him fighting as a co-main, and then having guys like Crawford and Spence, because Thurman wants to make, his 2, 3, 4, 5 million. But I don't know if Thurman is still worth that kind of money. Like, that's a real question. Keith one-time Thurman, is his value anywhere near $1 million? I get it when the supply is low, the demand is high, but I mean, a supply of what? You know what I'm saying? It's like Pacquiao coming back. There's a very low supply of anything Pacquiao-ish. But where's the demand for it? I mean, a supply of what? What's Pacquiao bringing to the ring at age 44, 45? Except his name. And I think Keith Thurman's kind of entering into that kind of zone where, aside from his name, what does he really bring into the ring? He's got to get back active, man. It's like Adrian Broner, same thing. Adrian Broner, man, he was still asking for, $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 million. And nobody was going to pay him that. And if they were going to pay him that kind of money, they wanted Adrian Broner to fight someone like a Boots Ennis, or fight one of these strong 147-pounders, 140-pounders. And Adrian Broner just wasn't going to do that. So they were gonna force Adrian Broner into a gatekeeper type position. Larry Lopez says, Boots is a big dude, didn't realize he had those advantages physically. Yeah, man, I knew he was big, that's why I pulled it up. But yeah, he's a damn monster. He says, I agree. Yeah, I'm just being real, man. To me, it's just one of those things to just be honest with yourself, man. What are we demanding? What are we demanding? What are we looking for in a guy like Spence and Pacquiao and Adrian Broner? a guy like Bertabiev, guys like Butev, guys like Bivol, even like Demetrius Andre. I would say there's more of a demand for Demetrius Andre than Keith Thurman. Because at least he's still out there, he's still trying to get fights, and some people feel he wasn't given the opportunities as other fighters. Some people feel like he hurt his own career. But that's neither here nor there. But talking about somebody who's doing their best for their career and remaining in the headlines is Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields has a fight coming up, I think it's this weekend. Her opponent, Hannah Gabriel, she fell out due to, testing for some banned substance. But now you got Clarissa Shields out here. She's about to fight a Cornejo, which is a Mexican fighter, man. And this female, she said, look, she's putting money on herself, man. And she's saying that she's going to take out Clarissa Shields. And there are a lot of people who feel Clarissa Shields are going to lose the fight. And I'm going to tell you this right here. I don't understand. Look, Clarissa Shields, right, is 28 years old. And this Maricela Cornejo is, she's being recognized as one of the favorites as she's entering the fight with Clarissa Shields. And she's being given more of a chance somehow, some way, than Savannah Marshall was being given to beat Clarissa Shields. Now, Shields, like I said, she's 28 years old, 3-division champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. I think she's undisputed in 2 weight classes. Clarissa Shields hasn't lost in 6.5 years as a pro. She's 13-0. Now, she's a 45-1 favorite, which she should be. But this Cornejo is 36 years old. She has an 0-3 record in world title fights, 16-5 overall record, and took their fight on 10-day notice. Now, I'm not saying someone who takes a fight in 10-day notice can't upset the apple cart. But what I will tell you is she's not intimidated. Okay? Now, she's saying looking at her record on paper, don't judge her by that, because she's not discouraged. And she doesn't see this as a daunting assignment at all. She turned pro in 2012. So she's like, being an underdog, that doesn't affect me. And she's saying she's putting money on herself. She's putting it all on the line. And she feels she has what it takes to clip Clarissa Shields. And Cornejo, she shouldn't have too much trouble making the middleweight limit of 160 pounds, because she was training for a 154-pound bout that was scheduled for June 6th. So, I mean, she was already in training. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just not sure 10 days is enough time for her to get her mind wrapped around being ready for Clarissa Shields. Staying in the gym, Clarissa Shields is in the gym. They both claim to live and breathe boxing. But Clarissa Shields came out and she already said, there's no doubt in my mind that Cornejo is not going to beat me. Now, Cornejo is 5'10". Shields stands 5'8". And I'm going to tell you this. Size matters. Size matters in fights. But at the end of the day, we've seen that Clarissa Shields is one of those fighters. You got to hit her with the kitchen sink in order to get her attention. Other than that, she's just going to outbox you and steamroll you, and she's not backing down. All right? So I got Shields winning that fight and then going on to figure out what she's going to do next, probably be in the PFL. Demo Gaming says, have you heard the rumors of Floyd coming back to fight the winner of Spence versus Crawford? Which I think is nonsense. Now, I haven't heard those rumors, man, but what I'll tell you is this. People started spreading those rumors because of the rumor about Pacquiao fighting Ryan Garcia, or Oscar De La Hoya trying to make Ryan Garcia versus Pacquiao fight. I can't see Floyd Mayweather coming back. No matter how good he looks, Floyd Mayweather has carved out a niche for himself in this boxing world, for life after boxing, making millions of dollars doing exhibitions. Conor McGregor said fighting Floyd Mayweather is different from when he was fighting in the UFC, because a boxing match is half a fight. For Floyd Mayweather fighting in exhibition bouts, that's a tenth of a fight. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you, Demo Gaming. That's complete nonsense for Floyd Mayweather, for someone to even spread those rumors. Yeah, of course, Demo Gaming. I agree. Yeah, we agree that's good. That's just people out here, man, posting bull crap out here on the internet. But would Floyd do an exhibition with those guys? I don't even think he would, man. Floyd's mind is on other things. He's not going to sit there now and for no amount of money. They'd have to offer Floyd Mayweather like $500 million. It'd have to be maybe $1 billion. I think he'd do it for $1 billion. I think Floyd Mayweather, I sure as hell do. I think Floyd Mayweather would sure as hell train and come back and fight Spencer Crawford for $1 billion. I think he'd risk that O on his record for $1 billion. You can't give him $500 million. I was just thinking about that. He made $350 million fighting Pacquiao, was it? So this man already made $350 million. As Pacquiao, Conor McGregor, he made that kind of money. But what I'm getting at is, he already made close to $500 million for a fight. You want Floyd Mayweather to come back and fight Crawford or Spence? I have no doubt if them Saudis put up $1 billion, I have no doubt Floyd Mayweather will dust off the old boots. That man will get his ass in the gym and he would train for that $1 billion. He loves money, man. That man would train his ass off for that $1 billion. Now, does he beat Crawford? Does he beat Spence? Look, I don't know. But I tell you what, we would have a fight. I'll put it to you that way. What's that guy with the dread say? The fight starts now. Shit, as soon as they sign that contract saying they're going to give him a guarantee, $1 billion, flat fee guarantee, win or lose, man, Floyd would sign that shit in a heartbeat. And that's just my opinion, man. But we'll see. So now there was someone who asked me, man, hey, let's talk about the heavyweights, you know. And let me tell you, when it comes to these heavyweights, it's kind of hard to say what's going on with them. Savage Science. Bud is going to try to not stand in front of Spence, which may mean he gets stopped late. You think who gets stopped late? You think Bud gets stopped late? Or you think Spence is going to get stopped late? Because if you're saying Bud gets stopped late, I think if anyone was to get stopped late, I would say Spence has the advantage late in the fight. First 6 rounds, I think it's a toss-up, but I think Bud has the advantage early in the fight with his counter-punching abilities and his ability to adjust and just being able to exploit the openings, because Spence throws over 100 punches around. And like Spence said, he comes out stepping. So, yeah, I think the first Bud gets, yeah. I would agree with that, man. If Bud comes out there thinking somehow he's going to pick up the pace after round 6, that's a recipe for disaster. And, you know, I think it's safe to say that because the proof is in the pudding. You look at how their fights normally go. Bud starts off relatively, a little bit slow. He's looking to counter, pop shot you, download data. Starts to pick it up as the rounds go by, but he's not necessarily coming out there the first 4 rounds, letting his hands go. And he can get away with that when you have the power he has, the counter-punching ability he has, the IQ that he has, and his reach. Hey, what's up, Kamani? But the problem you're going to run into with Spence is, if you can't pop shot Spence, if you can't, effectively counter him and discourage him, and Spence just keeps stepping to you, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And then what's going to happen? How often have we seen Crawford on the ropes? If we see Crawford ending up on those ropes, let me tell y'all something. It could be like a Costa Zoo, Tony Harrison type moment in that fight. And I'm just being honest with you. Because when you have a man backing up who normally doesn't back up, he's in trouble. When you have a man on the ropes and being able to keep him on the ropes, because, Crawford can fight on the inside too. But I'm just telling you, Savage Science says the punishment that Bud has to withstand would be too much. Well, that's what I'm getting at. If for some reason Bud Crawford allows Spence, because, Spence fights with his elbows. Now, I'm not saying he's a dirty fighter. What I'm saying is he'll come behind that long jab. He goes up and down with it, come with the straight left, throws the hook, and now he's on you. Damn near chest to chest. But he put that his forehead into you, and he starts pushing you back, and he uses his forearms to pin you, and he works with the free arm. And you're right. If for some reason Bud Crawford can't step out and create distance, create angles, and Spence is able to be the stronger man and control him and let shots and just let his hands go and really inflict some serious punishment, man, that I don't care what you say, that should take its toll on anybody. And that's what makes the fight so interesting. Because at the same time, Crawford has shown if you press him, look at what happened to Hank Lundy, Kell Brook, damn near everybody. If you press him, he's gonna let his hands go. And when he goes into the phone booth and turns into southpaw, man, all hell breaks loose. So it's an interesting fight, man. And I tell you what, you look at Sean Porter. Sean Porter was giving Bud Crawford some nightmares. And this is what really gets my attention about Porter and Crawford, and why I'm bringing it up since we're talking about Earl Spence. Crawford really felt that he was winning that fight. He was winning that fight. It's when he was having a conversation. I don't know who he was talking to, but someone was telling him, you're down, you're losing. And Crawford was like, are you serious? And he was just like, how? Because in Crawford's mind, he thought he was winning. Long story short, when Crawford got up to go out there for, I don't know what round was it, 10 or 11, he stopped Porter. So Crawford has that in him. If he knows he's down, he knows he's behind, it's like a switch will go off in him. And he'll exchange, and he'll let his hands go. But the problem is Crawford, to me, he throws some wide punches, man. I'm gonna be watching all that. Sometimes he throws super wide punches, and Spence doesn't throw to the straightest of punches, but I just think timing is going to be the most important thing for both of them. Even Spence throwing a kind of an off rhythm jab, where Crawford can't really prepare for it, react to it. Got to go upstairs and downstairs. Crawford to really make the right reads, man, and get his shots off, because this is really about timing. Anybody throwing shots and not timing and not being strategic, and if they're just coming in reckless, they're going to pay the price. So that could make for some moments in the fight to where the fight has some lulls, and people are going to be pissed off because it's not the fireworks, Gotti Ward that we're expecting. There could be some lulls because both of them know, shit, if I make a mistake, I can be in trouble. Demo Gaming says, I didn't think Crawford was winning against Porter. I had Porter up clearly. Yeah, Porter was winning. And then that, whatever round it was where he got stopped, so there was a conversation that took place. It's out there on YouTube, and it's on a lot of the YouTube shorts. But there was a conversation that took place between Crawford, and I don't know who he was talking to, but you can see what the discussion was, and they were telling him, basically, you're losing. Kind of like when Tank was fighting Mario Barrios, and they told him he was losing on the unofficial scorecards. And Tank came out there and did what he had to do. The same thing with Bud. Savage Science says Bud is chinny too. Yeah, I think Bud and Spence, I wonder about both of their chins. People got mad at me for saying that Bud was chinny and Spence was chinny, but I just think they both, if they get touched, I think they'll definitely start dancing salsa in the ring for real. Savage Science says Crawford's freeform style is what makes him great, but it's also what makes him vulnerable. Yeah, he's a free swinger. You know who else used to swing their punches like that? Was Arturo Gatti. I call them free swingers, man. Like when them guys throw shots, you know who else is a free swinger? Keith Thurman. When them guys throw their shots, oh, Jesus Christ. They land that, you out of there, man. You don't stand a chance. When those free swingers let their hands go, man, your ass is in trouble. Roy Jones, he was a combination of being threw straight punches, but he also did some free swinging. But Crawford is a free swinger, Arturo Gatti was a free swinger, and Keith Thurman was a free swinger. Kind of wide shots at times, but they wind up on them. But boy, when they land, you are in trouble. And I like seeing those free swingers fight. Danny Garcia is a free swinger as well. This really, really lets the hands go, man. Really lets the hands go. But that being said, I've been on here for an hour. Before I jump off, is there anything else y'all want to talk about before I get off of here, man? I would stay on about 2-3 hours, but I got to run up to the school to make a payment for some summer programs for my kids. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I get off? Oh, let me talk about the heavyweights before I get off of here. The heavyweights. I got that down here. Let's try to understand what the hell's going on here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, well, y'all understand what's going on with these heavyweights? Right now, it's chaotic, man, and it's unfortunate for us as fans. But this is what happens when big money comes into boxing. And when I'm talking about big money, I'm talking about Saudi, right? It makes matchmaking damn near impossible when there's huge money floating around. Now, for those of you who are like, well, damn, why you say that, Hood? Because look at what happened. Nobody's fighting because everybody's waiting on that Saudi money. Nobody wants to fight because they're like, I don't want to take $5 million. I don't want to take $3 million. I don't want to take $10 million. Because they'd rather wait for that one fight and make 40, 50. Now, Usyk and Dubois are going to be fighting. The purse bid's already been won. It's supposed to be fighting in Poland. Okay? I think Dubois is going to get tranquilized by Alexander Usyk. Dubois needs a new trainer, in my opinion. Look at what happened to Dubois in his last fight, almost getting stopped in the first round. I just don't think he stands a chance in here against Usyk. I don't care how much power he has. It is what it is. But Usyk and Tyson Fury, that's still the ultimate goal for them to fight. The Saudis still want to stage the undisputed distinction. But who knows if it's going to happen. Tyson Fury is looking to fight Dempsey McKean out there in Australia. Tyson Fury, nobody is pursuing Tyson Fury anymore. He totally hurt himself when it comes to Usyk. He totally hurt himself when it comes to Joshua. Joshua is scoffing and laughing at the offers Tyson Fury's making. Zhang, Tyson Fury waited around too long trying to make that fight. Joe Joyce activated his rematch clause with Zhang, so now Tyson Fury doesn't have Zhang. Andy Ruiz Jr. was stupid in my opinion because he could have fought Tyson Fury. Could have made $3 to $5 million. The fool went out there asking for 15 to 20 million. Now we all know, I just talked about this. There's a low demand, there's a low supply of Andy Ruiz out there. But what's the supply of? What are we getting? What has Andy Ruiz done to make people demand to see him fight? And for him to think he can demand 15 to 20 million dollars. Andy Ruiz, after he lost to Anthony Joshua, he barely escaped a win with Areola, and 2 more rounds and Luis Ortiz would have stopped his ass. So Andy Ruiz should have taken the money because now he's here in a holding pattern, and no matter who he fights, he's not going to make anything close to what he would have made had he just fought Tyson Fury. So Tyson Fury is he's got an opponent, but who knows what kind of money he's going to make in Australia. He probably makes some good money. Andy Ruiz has nothing going on and probably won't for the foreseeable future. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, the two of them seem to be locked in to fighting each other. Word on the street is both of them should be making, at least $50 million apiece fighting in Saudi. The thing is, they're trying to get Anthony Joshua a tune-up fight, and Deontay Wilder may take a tune-up fight too. But the Saudis don't want them to get hurt. They want to make sure that those two guys can show up there in Saudi Arabia once that new stadium is built, and that they can actually have the fight. The Saudi can have the fight that they want between Wilder and Joshua. But if Joshua takes a tune-up fight, you got to think that Wilder has to take a tune-up fight. But I think Joshua needs something because he is working on a lot of stuff with Derek James, and Deontay Wilder is not the kind of guy you want to get in the ring with to try out your new skills. Like he's just not the opponent you get in the ring with to say, hey, look what I learned. Nah, you will get tranquilized by a Wilder right hand. Come down to Dillian White. Dillian White is just out there in the breeze. He's got some little fight coming up, but White is miserable. He wants to fight AJ. He wants to fight for the 10 or 15 million, but the reality is Dillian White, Andy Ruiz, those guys are lucky if they're making $2-3 million a fight right now. Joe Joyce, if he can get past Zhang, Joe Joyce is back out of here. He's in the running, probably looking for a huge payday. Luis Ortiz is the saddest case. The old Cuban Cadillac with 400,000 miles on him. He just can't get a fight to save his life. I understand he lost to Ruiz Jr. in his last fight, but he looked very good. But no one's giving him a chance at hell and getting a big money fight. Very unfortunate. I personally think Luis Ortiz needs to fight Frank Sanchez. The Battle of Cuba and kind of winner takes all thing. Parker's out there fighting in I think in New Zealand, but Parker's staying busy. Hrgovic's in a holding pattern because Hrgovic wants to get his shot at Usyk. Then we come down, we take a look at the WBO column. Frank Sanchez, he's got to get back in the ring. Wilder, we talked about him. Jared Anderson's about to fight Kasabutsky, which I think Jared Anderson could lose that fight. Otto Wallen, I'm not sure why he's not fighting. Otto Wallen has a good trainer in Joey Gamache. He should be out here fighting. I don't know what the issue is. Bubble on down to WBO column to number 12, Adelaide. He's staying busy. He keeps winning. He's gonna be in the mix. The IBF column, we talked about almost all these guys except number 7, Caballel. I don't really know much about this guy, but he's ranked number 7 above Dillian White. Coming over to the WBC, we talked about Fury, Wilder, Ruiz, Joshua, Frank Sanchez. This number 5, Makhmudov, is a problem. Let me tell you something. Makhmudov is a killer. I'd like to see him get a shot at a big name opponent. But boy, oh boy, Makhmudov is going to destroy somebody if they're not, whoever gets in the ring with him are not careful. He's a big, big fighter, man. He's a monster, and he can crack. We talked about all these guys, and then over to WBA. Look, we've talked about almost all these guys already. Gerald Miller's still, how is hell he's still ranked in these damn sanctioning bodies? But Gerald Big Baby Miller's ranked number 10, 26-0, and he's still alive. But pay attention to these rankings now. This is what's interesting. The WBO has Deontay Wilder ranked number 4. The IBF has Deontay Wilder ranked number 4. The WBC has Deontay Wilder ranked number 1. The WBA has Deontay Wilder ranked number 1. When you look at that, that lets you know that they get Wilder 1-2 fights away from fighting for a damn championship. Then you look where they have Anthony Joshua. The WBO has him number 2, has him number 5 in the IBF. They have Anthony Joshua number 3 in the WBC and number 3 in the WBA. So that makes sense to see guys like Wilder and Joshua fighting, right? So when it comes to the heavyweights, let me tell you, you know who I think? F.A. Ajagba obviously didn't live up to his potential. He's still out here cruising around. I'm not sure he'll ever get a real opportunity. He's got to get back to knocking people out. I already said you can't turn a lion into a pussycat, and that's what they've done with F.A. Ajagba. Got to let Ajagba fight and be vicious, and he's just not that. But this guy, Ricardo Torres, let me tell y'all something. He is a problem. Now, if you don't know who he is, he's just getting his career going. He's a silver medalist from the Olympics. But let me show y'all who this guy is. I'm telling y'all right now, he is going to cause serious problems out here in the heavyweight division. I'm telling y'all right now, I don't care what anyone says when it comes to Ricardo Torres. He is a problem. Let me see if I can find his, let me find him on here. Let me change this. He is a problem, man. Silver medalist, knocking these guys out. I think this is him right here. Yeah, this is him right here. I'm pulling him up for y'all so y'all can see who I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know who he is. All right, this is him right here. Y'all know who this guy is? This is Richard Torres. They call him Richard Ricardo. He's a problem. 5 wins, 5 knockouts. 6'2", southpaw, Tulare, California. 100% KO ratio. I'm telling you, he's going to knock everybody. Skull season. What's going on, champ? What's up with you, man? Glad you joined the chat. This guy, Ricardo Torres, Richard Torres, y'all better pay attention. He is on his way. Pay attention to this guy. Now, what makes it interesting about him, as you can see, 2002, this man fought 4 times. So far, he fought once in 2023. Well, 2022 he fought 4. 2023 he fought once. He has another fight coming up. But I'm telling you, he is going to destroy somebody. I think right now, if he was to fight Jared, the real Big Baby Anderson, I think he knocks him out. I'm just being honest with you. I think he knocks him out and knocks him out cold. But then again, that's just my opinion. But that being said, keep your eye on this guy, Richard Torres Jr. out of Tulare, California. He's a monster, man. Now, before I get off of here, it's an hour and 15 minutes. The YouTubers. Look, man, Jake Paul fighting this guy, Nate Diaz, whichever Diaz brother it is. They're making moves, man. KSI. These guys are making real money, man. You know what I'm saying? People still hating on Jake Paul. Look, Jake Paul's never going to become a damn champion and fight Canelo and all that. Like, that's not going to happen. But for what they're doing in their little niche, it's entertaining. I personally like it, man. But what I don't like, well, I ain't going to say I don't like it. I just think it's sad for a guy like Tommy Fury. As much as he talks about him being a fighting man, he kind of falls in that niche with Jake Paul, KSI, the Salt Poppies. You know, Tommy Fury's known for some Love Island, some reality series show. But after what he did with Jake Paul, I thought that maybe Tommy Fury would take off and go do something different. But it looks like he's trying to get himself ready to fight KSI. But long story short is, what they're doing over there in the Misfits Boxing League, that's fine. But you better believe this. If one of these fighters, right, our favorite fighters, these elite fighters, get an opportunity to fight one of those YouTubers, I'm telling you right now, they're going to take it. Yo, y'all know these YouTubers are making like $10 million for one fight. You guys know these guys are making real money. Jake Paul's making like $20 million a fight. But the pay-per-view sales have something to do with it too. But you know they're making that kind of money. So when it comes to the KSI, these YouTubers, the ex-MMA fighters now coming over trying to get boxing, it just works for those guys. It's no different than Floyd Mayweather and this exhibition stuff he's doing. Everyone's out here getting paid, but they're taking the sport serious. But I just think going forward that you may see more of these circus type antics carrying over into the sport of boxing, because it's all about money. It's all about being a business before anything else. So that being said, man, don't hate on Jake Paul. Don't hate on KSI. Don't hate on Salt Poppy. Even Tommy Fury. If anything, hate on him a little bit because he keeps claiming that he's a fighting man from a fighting family. He's going to become a champion over there in professional boxing. I don't think so. I think he needs to stay over there in that Misfits League and make his money over there. But that being said, when it comes to boxing, all these great things, I'm telling you right now, I am really paying attention to this Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford stuff, man. I would hope that they would do a little bit more promoting the fight. I think it's going to suck to actually take them and put them on a little press conference, man, for those couple days. That could affect their training. Earl Spence still has some weight to lose, and Earl Spence is taking it serious. Remember, Terrence Crawford is already damn near at 147 pounds because he's been training hard all year and staying in shape. Earl Spence, we know that he will balloon between fights. He didn't seem to get too out of shape, but he's cutting down. He's looking really good, and I think he's going to. I think he's going to be ready. But that press tour could disrupt their training schedule, man. And don't be surprised if Earl Spence doesn't show up to those press tours to sit back and train. That's all I'm saying. Just don't be surprised at that, because he's taking this serious. He knows this is for everything. Earl Spence can't afford to lose, even with there being a rematch. He can't afford to lose. Terrence Crawford can't afford to lose. Those guys don't want to lose. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a draw, the first fight. And I believe that. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a draw. Both of those guys know how to survive. They know how to win. So it explains. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave you guys with that. I've been talking for almost an hour and a half. That being said, shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Hey, let me play something for y'all real quick.
For some shit right now. I was busy. Yeah.
So you can hear when guys start making excuses about things. And then I'm going to end the video, end the stream.
I can't do anything. My mind, I can't. I told him, like, even in the back, I was like, dude, my legs feel weak, everything feels weak.
Even after that?
Yeah, because they didn't let me rehydrate the right way. So when I was there, I was like, damn, my legs are weak. I'm hitting, but I don't feel strong. I'm like, dude, I'm in for some shit right now. I was like, let's go.
Yo, shit. That's gotta be fucking frightening.
Bro, you can imagine, I'm just like, but I'm like, that's out of my control now. I'm like, so I just psyched myself out. I'm like, fucking go. And then when I heard him in a second, I'm like, all right, motherfucker, I'm going for it, because I'm weak. So I had to go for the jackpot.
So it's like this tug of war where like you want to go hard, but you want it to be reserved, and then you went too far.
So when I heard him, I'm like, all right, it's either I get his ass right now or later down the line, I know my body's gonna probably like die out on me. So I'm like, all right, and I boom, I just got hit, and I'm like, bro, I didn't even see the shot. That was the funny part. I just got hit. I got up. I'm like, all right, motherfucker. I looked at him because I remember him saying like, if I land that type of shot on you, I'm gonna jump on you, like I'm gonna knock you out. So I looked at him. I'm like.
Anyway, Ryan Garcia is still out here making excuses. Look, man, Ryan Garcia, I don't know what to say about that guy. But at the end of the day, he lost. Fight's over. It is what it is. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents, man. I'll be back on again later, man. You guys are welcome. Y'all keep safe. And I'll try to kind of standardize the time. It's just tough to do it. Y'all keep cool, man. Really take care of yourselves. Eat something good.